All right. Episode number 20, the Full Court Report. We're back.
Yes, sir.
Self, Jorie, Justin, Tobe.
Early
20
morning
episode.
episode. Early morning episode.
Yeah, we're doing this in the morning rather than at night. So that's why it's coming out a little later in the day. But we
Gang,
still got a
gang.
good show for you. It's gonna be fun. But before we even get into NBA talk, the NFL draft happened this past weekend. I feel like why not mention it? So I know, Tobe, since you're an Eagles fan, Justin, since you're a Giants fan, there was a little bit of turmoil between these two teams. Either one of you want to speak on it?
I'm not a fan of the interdivision collusion going on here.
It's not collusion. It's just a great trade.
No.
And the Eagles made the right move for once, and we got the best wide receiver in the draft.
For those that don't know, I believe it was the Cowboys that had the 10th pick, right? Originally. And the Giants were sitting there right behind the Cowboys at 11, waiting for Heisman winner Devonta Smith to fall to them, which would have been pretty much just a perfect acquisition to their offense.
Yeah.
And the Eagles, who had the 12th pick, said, actually, we're going to take that guy. They traded up with Dallas, one pick ahead of the New York Giants, and took him right before the Giants could. Hey, man, that's business.
That's just good. That's just good business.
Good
It's
management.
all right. We
by
got the
Urban
human
right
joystick. Kadarius Tony's going to be way nicer than that guy, Devontae Smith.
Right. You're definitely right.
Reunited with his Alabama teammate, Jalen Hurts. It's going to be an interesting NFL year for sure. That was a fun draft. Shout out to everyone that got drafted.
Yeah, NFC East is anybody's to take this year. Just like last year, I feel like. So
I think it's going to be a lot more interesting, a lot more competitive. So we'll see. We'll see. But all right, now we can move on to NBA talk because again, that is going to be the crux of our conversation today. And I wanted to do like a contenders pretenders show as the season winds down, but I feel like we still have a little bit more time before we can do something like that because there's most teams still have around like 9-8 games left. So, and especially in the Western Conference, I mean, if you look at the standings right now, so for the 5th seeded Mavericks, they're at 10. Or they're 10 games behind of the 4th seeded Clippers, so I don't think they're catching them. The Lakers have the same exact record in the 6th seed, and the Blazers also have the same exact record in the 7th seed. So literally, any 3 of those teams could be in the play-in tournament, depending on what happens over the next like 2 weeks or so. So I didn't want to do that too early because I feel like it's too early to say and it's too early to predict, and it's definitely going to have a lot of implications. We could literally see a Clippers Lakers first round matchup. We could see the Lakers in the play-in tournament. Who knows? It's going to be crazy down the stretch. But so instead of that, we'll probably do that next week. We are going to look at some of the biggest acquisitions, the biggest trades, the biggest moves from the past 12 months or so, and kind of give an update on how they're doing in these new situations, how these players are doing, and, just talk about our feelings about it. Because I feel like some of these players, they've gotten a lot of flack for what they've accomplished in their new situations and their new teams. Other players have done really well. So, we're going to get into all of that. But first up, we have Andrew Wiggins going to the Golden State Warriors. I know this wasn't technically within the last 12 months, but it kind of feels like it was because when the Warriors traded for him, it was like probably 3 weeks before the NBA shut down. And then obviously the Warriors weren't in the NBA bubble because of how bad they were. So this is kind of the first season for Wiggins in Golden State. And I mean, what do you guys think he's been up to? I mean, how are you guys feeling about Andrew Wiggins thus far?
Um, I was expecting a little more out of Andrew Wiggins this season. Not to say that he played bad, but Golden State currently is, well, actually I checked this last night, so it might be one game different, but the Golden State was 32-32, ninth in the West last night. And Andrew Wiggins is on as a second option, isn't even putting up 20 points. He's only putting up 18.1, which is it's his lowest point per game average, I think, since his rookie year. I thought he would have been close to a 25 point per game score behind Curry. But I don't know. I'm a little disappointed with Wiggins. I thought he could have been a bit more of a help. Maybe even secured him into the playoffs, but he didn't really do nothing.
I think, in my opinion, I feel like Wiggins, I mean, it's his first year in Golden State, so obviously there's going to be a learning curve there. Just in terms of like the offense that they run and stuff. But like looking into the future for the Warriors, I feel like he could be an important piece for whatever playoff runs they go into within the next couple of years, because I feel like he could have a similar impact as like Harrison Barnes when he was on Golden State and they were winning championships. And he doesn't have to be like, when Clay comes back, he won't have to be that guy that has to put up 20 points a game. He could, put up similar statistics to he is right now. But I do think that by next season, either Wiggins or Oubre is going to be gone, because I don't see them keeping both of them.
I think they'll probably get rid of Oubre. I think they tried to get rid of him, and whoever they were trying to trade him to said no.
Yeah, but I feel like at this point they could get rid of either one if they get the right deal for him.
Yeah, I didn't even think about, the future of the Warriors. I completely even forgot that Clay was coming back. Like, that just slipped my mind completely. So, Toby might be right. Andrew Wiggins might be that perfect third guy for this
I'm
team.
thinking next to Draymond, and then just
Yeah.
Wiseman at the 5 probably.
Because he's also shooting very efficiently. I think 38% from 3 this season. I think that's his best mark from downtown on his career. So Clay coming back, it's only going to make it easier.
Yeah, facts.
I might have been sleeping on Wiggins. Wiggins on the Warriors might, a year or two from now, who knows, might be right back there in the finals.
I think the Warriors next year are going to be a top 4 seed. I think the year after that, they might be even better, but who knows, obviously. They're going to be good, though. They're going to be a team not
LeBron and Anthony Davis are trying to get Curry to come to LA.
That's a fairy tale. That's a fairy tale.
Well, in terms of Andrew Wiggins, I feel like he's gotten a lot of, like I said earlier, a lot of flack for what he's done with the team. I saw on First Take, Stephen A criticized him and said he'd trade him away or give him away for a box of cookies. I mean, I just feel like that argument that he's just been terrible with this team is kind of baseless. I don't think he's as bad as people say he is. I think so I looked it up. The Warriors' offensive rating is a little bit better, slightly better when he's off the floor, and their defense is marginally worse, very, very marginally worse when he does play. But at the same time, I feel like people are saying Wiggins is bad because of his expectations since he's come into the league as a number 1 pick. And I've always thought that was a stupid way to determine the expectations of players. when they come into the NBA. Like, I don't think he should be penalized for being selected number one overall because it wasn't his decision, really. He just performed great in college, and that's just what happened. GM took a shot on him. It's not his fault that he was getting compared to Michael Jordan and Tracy McGrady coming out of college. Like, it's just when you put the bar like that high, it's like ridiculous. There's like so few players that have ever even reached that level of play in the NBA.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I always thought it was kind of stupid. But that being said, Wiggins has been pretty solid as an individual player this season. He's averaging 18.1 points per game, 4.8 rebounds, 2.4 assists. He has the highest effective field goal percentage of his career. He's shooting 38% on catch and shoot threes and 39% on pull-up threes, which are also career highs. So, and he's also shooting 65% from within 5 feet of the basket, which is the second highest percentage of his career. So, I think playing on the Warriors has really helped him because he's just getting open looks and he's just way more efficient than he's ever been. And defensively, even though the team is worse, he's holding opponents to 45% shooting against him, which is the second best of his career. So,
Yeah.
again, like as an individual, I think he fits in pretty well. I can see him being like almost a better version of what they had with like Harrison Barnes a few years ago. And like you said, if James Wiseman can come back and be what he was billed as a number 2 pick, even though I just said it was stupid. But like if he can like be a two-way center and be potentially even like their third best player, you have Wiggins, you have Clay coming back, you still have Curry and Draymond. Like this team, like you said, Toby, could definitely be right back at the top of the Western Conference as soon as next season. But it's only a matter.
Well,
It's
it's
only a matter
very
of time.
surprising to me that you said the Warriors, their defensive rating or something, it goes down when Wiggins is on the floor. That actually surprises me a lot because I've always thought that Wiggins, when he tries, can be a very good defender.
Yeah, I feel like it's tough to like gauge defense in the NBA just overall, but it's like I don't know, it's weird the way like defensive rating works. Like he's a good individual defender, but like as a team defender, he
Yeah.
might be lacking, which is just like it's hard to like really evaluate defense in statistics other than you can't. But
Yeah.
as an individual, I mean, he has the build and athleticism to be like a really good defensive player. And I think if Clay comes back like prime Clay, which is, possible, he could that defense with him, Draymond, and Wiggins would be very,
Yeah.
very, very tough to score against.
Yeah.
And Wiseman locking down the paint, we'll see.
Yeah, they already had previously like one of the best defenses in the league. So like they obviously know what they're gonna do. And I guess to add on to one of your points that you made, Jorie, like the expectation that not me personally, but like people around the league put
Me
on
personally.
Andrew Wiggins. And like I would argue that he's a slightly above average player, which is like crazy that someone like Stephen A. Smith is telling him to get traded for a box of cookies.
Yeah.
It's like if this was any other player who was say drafted in like the second round, they would be praised for how much they're overachieving and all that stuff. So
it never made sense to me. Like, why does your draft position determine like how it's just so dumb? Like exactly. If he was taken 5 picks later, he would literally be viewed as like this like a steal of the draft. But just because he was the first pick, it just doesn't make sense. Like it wasn't even his decision to go there. I don't know.
yeah.
But I thought now we can look at the other end of that trade because in that trade, Golden State traded away D'Angelo Russell, in exchange for Andrew Wiggins, and as well as other picks and players and things like that.
Golden State took a fat L on this one.
I don't know. I mean, I think it kind of makes sense because
They
you know,
had
you
to get
still
rid
have
of D'Lo to get. Oh wait, no, that was after the KD trade. They got D'Lo there because of the KD trade. Never mind.
yeah, and the Warriors they also got a first round pick out of it in this year's draft, but it is top 3 protected. So the Warriors could potentially have another, top 5 pick in this year's
Oh,
draft,
man.
which would be that would definitely change the course of their franchise. If they got someone like I don't even know, Jalen Green or like
Oh
one of the Kaminga or something, like
my god.
that would definitely put them over the top. But let's focus on D'Angelo Russell in Minnesota because he's been having an up and down time there. He's dealt with a lot of injuries. I mean, their entire team has dealt with a lot of injuries, and it's been tough for their stars, that being Karl-Anthony Towns, to really play together. But what have you guys thought of D'Angelo Russell with the Timberwolves?
I would say that at the current moment, I feel like um I don't like how he's a lot of times coming off the bench for the Wolves because obviously I've seen him in Brooklyn and he is not a bench player. This guy can quite literally carry a team from like 20 points down and like get the dub at the end of the game. And I feel like obviously his lack of play with Karl-Anthony Towns probably is one of the biggest reasons why their record is what it is. But if those two can mesh together well next year and maybe also trade Beasley or get another piece, get a couple more pieces with them, then definitely they can be in the playoffs. I feel like.
Well, Malik Beasley, I think he's a piece they need to keep because currently he's a higher point per game scorer than D'Lo is. He's the second highest scorer on the team behind Cat. And I don't really know. I think he's a half decent defender. Jorie would probably know. But I think Malik Beasley might be a nice little piece they could keep around.
Yeah,
But
he's kind of like more of like a spark plug, I don't know if I don't know if they would want to like start him. I feel like you probably could start him, but I don't know how honestly good he is on defense, especially him and D'Lo like in a backcourt together would not be good. Plus their defense is just bad overall because they also have Karl-Anthony Towns, who isn't the best defender. So I mean, he's definitely solid, but you could definitely get something out of him if they wanted to move him.
yeah. But after they drafted Anthony Edwards, I really thought they were playoff bound this season. I really thought that him, D'Lo, and Cat really could have at least got him into the play-in. But
yeah, I definitely thought it was close too.
this year, D'Lo only played 35 games with Minnesota, and last year he only got in 12 games. And I can't find out of those games are with Cat, but they have no chemistry together. Like I know they're boys and everything, but they don't know how to play together, like Toby said.
I think they've only played like 10 to 15 games together total.
Yeah.
So
But yeah, I mean, I don't know. D'Lo's not doing too bad. 19 points per game, 5.5 assists, shooting 43.5 from the field, 39 from three. Not even in 30 minutes. Not even getting 30 minutes a game. Also, I think part of the reason he's not starting Toby is because of the surgery. They're probably trying to work him
no,
back and
I
also
know
trying
that,
to
but
have
like,
him not re-aggravated.
but like, he's staying on the. He was staying on the bench because they were like, oh yeah, he's putting up really good numbers coming off the bench, so we might as well stick with this right now. So
Who are they starting then?
Nah,
Do you know?
They were starting Ricky Rubio. Yeah.
No, I think so yeah, like you said, Justin, he missed 26 games this season because he had uh arthros- arthroscopic surgery in his left knee in February. And I think he's like you said, coming off the bench because of the injury, and he doesn't like want to re-aggravate it. But it also, because I'm pretty sure for a long time he had like a minutes restriction. So this allows him to close games instead of start them, which the coach views as more important. Obviously, you would rather have him in like the final 5 minutes of a game than the first five. So I don't think it's going to be like permanent. I don't expect him to always come off the bench.
Yeah.
So I think once he gets like fully healthy, he'll probably be starting again. But
Yeah.
I think it just speaks to his leadership and selflessness, to be able to be like, even though I'm one of the best players on this team, I'll do whatever it takes to help them win. Because in the 26 games that he missed, they went 6-20. And then in the 14 games that they may have played at least one more game, but in the 14 games since his return, they're 8-6. So they're completely a different team when he plays. And like you said, I think if they're fully healthy with him, Cat, and Anthony Edwards next season, they just need time. Like I
Plus
feel
a
like
potential top 1 pick or top 3 pick.
exactly. Like I feel like we always see young players and we're like, oh, they need to develop. But like more than anything, I feel like they need to develop like as a core. Like Justin said, like you need to build chemistry playing together. Like you can't only develop as an individual. Like you
Yeah, I
need
agree.
chemistry and know how to play with one another. And that's only going to come with time, so they got to remain healthy. But D'Lo, I saw in his 14 games since his return, averaging 18.7 points, 2.3 rebounds, 5.6 assists in just 25 minutes a game or 26 minutes a game. And I saw that he has a true shooting percentage, which is I feel like a more accurate statistic than just like field goal percentage because it takes into account like the value of threes and free throws. So like, you know, obviously a three is more than a two. A three is more difficult than a two. So like they take that into account. So his true shooting percentage before the injury was 54%. And then since his return, it's jumped up to 61%. So he definitely is like finding his groove. But I think in terms of like the draft, everyone is saying get Cade Cunningham because he's just the best player. And like if they have number one pick, they might have to. But I feel like Evan Mobley would just make way more sense on this team. Because like him and Karl-Anthony Towns on the same team would just make no sense.
It wouldn't be fair.
Because they already have D'Lo and Anthony Edwards. Like Cade would make sense, yeah. Like you could probably play him like at like small forward because if he's like 6'7" and just have him be like a point forward. But like I just feel like Evan Mobley would just be perfect for the the Timberwolves.
I mean, D'Lo is coming off the bench. You could just say, draft Cade Cunningham, see you later, Ricky Rubio, and then have Cade start and just be like, all right, D'Lo, you're his mentor. You're coming off the bench and you're going to lead our bench unit for us.
See,
That would be pretty nice.
the problem with that is the Timberwolves already have like almost no veterans. So getting rid of Ricky Rubio as like the only veteran, and that Justin, that's important. Like
What kind of veteran presence does Ricky Rubio bring? Like, has he ever even been like to the playoffs? Like
Anthony Edwards, I'm pretty sure said it himself. He's like the most like one of the best leaders he's ever seen in his entire life.
Like, yeah, you definitely need that. That's another thing. Like, you can't just be all young teams. Like, look at the Hawks. Even like the Hawks had like a really good young core, but it wasn't until this season when they got Gallinari, when they got Rondo for like a little bit, and now they have Lou Will, Bogdanovich. Like, it wasn't until they got these older players who have experience in the NBA when they finally started playing well. Or like even the Knicks, You know that you get Derrick Rose, Taj
Yeah.
Gibson, Reggie Bullock. Like these are all veteran players. You need those
Yeah, I look at the
players.
Pelicans as like
Another example of just a team that failed.
they should have been good, like, but again, lack of veteran leadership, I feel like probably was one of the reasons that they were hindered.
Well, then they shouldn't have traded Jrue Holiday.
Yeah.
Well, this is actually a good transition, I think, because another team that was young, that wasn't really, you know, reaching their potential, I would say, up until this move was made, was the Phoenix Suns. Chris Paul going to the Phoenix Suns completely changed their entire franchise, their entire, outlook of their team. I'm pretty sure they have the best record in the NBA right now. The
They're
Phoenix.
tied. Them
Yeah,
and the Jazz are tied.
tied with the Jazz. So they're 46-18, which is just what? I mean, what? But yeah, so the Suns, they traded Kelly Oubre, Ricky Rubio, Ty Jerome, Jalen LeCue, and a 2022 first-round pick to the Thunder for Chris Paul and Abdul Nader. But, I mean, literally, I'm pretty sure they also got Jay Crowder, but this is pretty much the same exact team that they had last year, and you just add Chris Paul, and they're the best team in the league.
Yeah.
If that, I feel like that says a lot about what Chris Paul does to a team. Like, yes, there's obviously Devin Booker getting better, Mikal Bridges getting better, DeAndre Ayton getting better, but like pretty much all they did was add Chris Paul into their starting lineup, and look how much better they got. They recently clinched their first playoff berth since the 2009-10 season, when Devin Booker was 13 years old. I mean, like, I don't think Chris Paul really gets enough praise for what he can do.
He made a team that missed the playoffs last year
Exactly.
into a contender in his first year there. Like,
Think about not even that. Like, think about what he did with the Thunder the year before. Everyone wrote them off as like the worst team in the league, and they were.
I didn't
like
think
a
they were going to
5
make the
seed.
playoffs.
Exactly.
I didn't think they were even going to get like 20 wins, honestly, that Thunder team, even with Chris Paul. I didn't think they were going to do anything.
It's just crazy. But I mean, what have you guys thought about CP3 in Phoenix?
I hate
Do you
this
guys
guy.
think?
I hate him.
I mean, even though we said we're going to do like contenders, pretenders next week, do you genuinely believe that they could get to the NBA Finals?
Yeah, I hate this guy, Chris Paul, but he's really turned Devin Booker into literally the next coming of Kobe Bryant. His ghost. Kobe Bryant's soul left his body and just went into Devin Booker.
You see that D-Book crossover on Rudy Gobert?
Oh yeah, had that guy looking.
That was
silly.
nasty. That was crazy.
But yeah, Chris Paul should try and finish his career in Phoenix.
Why?
What do you mean? Why? He's in the perfect situation. They're right on the cusp of a championship.
A lot of people are saying that this is actually Chris Paul's best chance to win a championship that he's ever had in his career, which I don't know.
I wouldn't agree with that.
I feel like that one Rockets team that he was on with James Harden, I think they probably, if he stayed healthy and they didn't choke the, I think 3-2 lead to the Warriors, they probably would have won it all that year. But I mean, this is definitely one of the best teams he's ever been on in his entire career.
With that being
the only guy they got to worry about is LeBron, and he's in their conference. So if they don't face him in the playoffs or he loses in the playoffs,
that's not true.
Toby, I don't know. I know you're going to say the Clippers are a problem. The Clippers are not a problem.
I was going to say the Jazz.
The Jazz aren't either.
I'll give you the
Suns.
Jazz. I'll give you.
They might make the Western Conference Finals. That's the farthest they're going to make it.
So if you're saying it was Suns, Jazz in the conference finals, the Jazz are going to the finals.
Jazz are beating the Suns. It's probably going 6 or 7 games.
That would honestly be a really good series, though.
That would
You
be
can
a great series.
quote me on this too. I don't care if the Suns somehow make the finals, then I'll look like a clown. But you can quote me on this. that the farthest they can possibly get is the Western Conference Finals.
Okay.
Well, next week we'll talk more. We'll be more in depth about it. But yeah. Chris Paul, he's not putting up like the craziest numbers. He's averaging 16 points, 5 rebounds, and 8.7 assists, which is actually third in the NBA. But I looked it up. It's kind of a longer list, but players averaging at least 15 points, 4 rebounds, and 5 assists while shooting 45% from the field, 35% from 3, and 85% from the free throw line this season. Kyrie, Steph, Paul George, Chris Middleton, Kawhi, Kevin Durant, James Harden, Jokic, Malcolm Brogdon, and Chris Paul.
Brogdon.
Brogdon's kind of the outlier, but hey, shout out Brogdon to be, that's kind of crazy.
So wait, are you on the Charles Barkley wave where you think Chris Paul is the MVP?
I was just about to speak on that. No, sir. No.
I feel like I don't know. He might be. There's so many good point guards. I feel like that's what we need to take away from. I mean, point guards is kind of a weird term because I feel like point guards nowadays are just like there's so many different kinds. But like traditionally, if you look at that position, you have Kyrie, Steph, Chris Paul, Dame. You might even throw James Harden in at point guard, but then I don't know if you can really consider Kyrie a point guard then. But like, it's just crazy the amount of point guards in the NBA right now and how good they all are. It's just nuts. But I don't know. He might not even be an all NBA first team player.
No,
they might not even give it to him because of Steph and
I don't see that.
Dame and Luka.
Yeah, I see second or third team.
I mean, he's definitely all NBA at the worst. I think second team, and if he gets third team, I think that's just foolish. I think they'd be doing him wrong. I can see him getting first team, but it'd be tough just because of what the recency bias that Steph is gonna get because he's been putting up like 40 a game, and then Dame has been great all season. Luka has been great all season. But I mean, if they have the best record in the NBA, they might have to give it to him. Not MVP, but all NBA first team. I think MVP is Jokic clearly, but
I don't know about that.
I also looked it up. Chris Paul, who's gonna turn 36 on Thursday, 36 years old. He has 113 points in the clutch this season, and clutch is defined as a game that's separated by 5 or less points in the last 5 minutes of a game. So, and he's 113 points in that situation, which is 6th in the league.
Yeah, and you could see it too every time the Suns are in a close game, like down the line. That's when it's Chris Paul's turn. You could see him like start to turn it up, and he starts hitting those mid ranges.
Yeah, like when
that was crazy.
Ruined our win streak.
Yeah, that was crazy. And
I hate that guy, Chris Paul.
Only Dame and Jokic have a higher field goal percentage in the clutch than Chris Paul that have scored at least 100 clutch points.
That's insane. That's insane.
Yeah.
Coming from a 36-year-old, like 6-foot point guard.
Exactly. Like it's like he's crazy, dude.
His impact on teams is like undisputed now. I don't think.
Yeah.
I don't think anybody can call him overrated anymore.
Literally. What do you mean?
Literally one of the best point guards
overrated.
of all time. Like
I can definitely call him overrated.
He's definitely like.
I mean, you can, but you're just wrong.
That's not true at all. The guy's never won nothing. If he's such a great point guard, if he's top 3 all time at point guard at his position, why hasn't he won anything?
First of all, I never said he was top 3.
He grew up in an era where point guards weren't necessarily the position of dominance. He grew up when he first joined the league, it was really like big man like Tim Duncan, like Shaq, and then it became like really athletic wings like LeBron, Kobe, Kevin Durant that just started dominating the league. You know?
So you're saying if Chris Paul got drafted now and like had the same career trajectory, like he was at the same skill level throughout his career,
Well,
but
no,
got
I think
drafted
it's
now,
still
you
like
think he
that.
would
I
be
feel like
nice?
it's still two-way wings that dominate the league. Like really, if you think about it, like the only point guard, like great point guard of this generation that has really won a championship, like as the best player on his team is Steph. Like
Yeah.
Kyrie, yeah, but like he had LeBron,
Yeah.
you know?
But like Steph is Steph.
Exactly.
Like Steph is top 2.
Like Steph is one of the best players ever. So yeah. But again, this team is crazy. They're the Suns. They're one of 3 teams in the NBA to rank top 10 in offensive and defensive rating, which
I'm glad.
bodes well for their chances in the playoffs.
I'm glad to see Devin Booker in the playoffs for once. He really
Oh, yeah.
deserves it.
It's gonna be great.
I might have to get a D Book jersey.
You got to get the Valley.
Yep. Oh
those,
yeah.
those black
Obviously.
ones or whatever. Those are so nice.
Except he's not going to be on the Suns for very much longer
Oh, what makes you think that?
because he's going to go to Minnesota and pair up with his boys and win a chip.
What if D'Lo goes to the Suns once Chris Paul retires?
That would be super wavy. That would be super wavy.
Yeah.
I think that would just be better. Don't you think? That would be way better than him going to Minnesota.
Yeah, I agree. But then
All right.
Cat would have to come with them.
So we can, I guess, go to the next one. James Harden to the Brooklyn Nets. I think, I feel like, Toby, you probably have the most to say about this. I feel like I don't even have that much to say about it. I think we all know what his impact is. Although he's been injured recently. But,
Well,
what have you made of his time in Brooklyn?
I will admit, when all those trade rumors were going on with people saying that, he might go to the Nets, he might go to the Sixers, I was thinking, first of all, please God, tell me he doesn't go to the Sixers, because if he does, that's an automatic championship. But I was honestly like pretty skeptical of getting rid of, LeVert, Jared Allen, and all those guys. But since we've done that, or I guess I should say, the games that James Harden has played, he's played like on an MVP level. He's pretty much averaged like 30, like 10 and 12.
I'll tell you exactly how much he's averaging. He's the 3rd highest scorer on the team with 25.2, 8 rebounds, and 10.9 assists.
On
per
the
game.
team?
Yeah.
That's insane.
He's the 3rd highest scorer behind Kevin.
That's literally insane.
And
that's insane.
to think about it like this, like he just joined this team and had like no idea how to have these players, you know what I mean?
I mean, when you play like Harden, you could really be on any team and still succeed.
True. But also, every single player, like bench players and, pieces that had to, come up, they really stepped up. Like Alize Johnson, probably not many people have heard of him.
1 20-point game, Toby.
Yeah.
No,
Relax.
it hasn't been one 20-point game. It's been multiple, and he's averaging like so
I think
many.
that guy used to be
rebounds.
on the Pacers, I think. For like a little
And you look
bit.
at players like Shamit has really stepped up. Tyler Johnson, like they got depth now, and that was something that they said that would hinder the Nets. The Nets have depth, and
Toby,
James,
how realistically, how nice of a piece do you really think that guy Tyler Johnson is? Like,
I mean, he's a shooter that's coming off the bench. Like, you don't understand when all these pieces from the bench are on the floor, it's just space galore because they're all shooters, and it's like catch and shoot threes. Like, plus you got Blake. Like,
you definitely have depth, but I don't know how much you're gonna use it in the playoffs. Like obviously their big 3 is gonna play. Joe Harris is gonna play. Jeff Green is gonna play, and like Bruce Brown.
Blake. They'll probably only play those 8 players, honestly.
I think Shamit is definitely going to get minutes.
Yeah.
I don't know how much you can really play. It depends on who they match up against, but DeAndre Jordan might not even get that many minutes in the playoffs.
I don't think he will. I think, honestly,
Depends on who
Alize
they
Johnson,
get matched up with.
Alize Johnson is definitely going to get a lot of minutes.
You know, if all 3, Kevin Durant, Kyrie, and James Harden, if they're not all healthy, I don't know if their bench will be able to fill in the absence of whoever's out. I think if it's just Kyrie and Kevin Durant to start off the playoffs, you guys might have a little trouble in that first round, depending on who you're playing.
I don't think so. I mean,
Hear me
we're going
out,
to be
though.
playing the worst playing team.
Hear me out.
Well, yeah, in the first round, but then what happens in the second
And then James Harden is probably going to come back.
potential second round, third round, you know?
I think if you guys still had just Kyrie and KD, and then you still had Jared Allen, Taurean Prince, and Karis LeVert, I think you'd be better off than you are now.
I disagree.
But yeah, I can understand why you would disagree, because you wouldn't have Blake, and also that guy Karis LeVert would probably be dead because nobody would have found out about that thing.
Yeah. And I honestly feel like they would have been in the same position had they kept everybody. Honestly, I think they would have had probably the same record.
Yeah, who am I kidding? Kyrie and KD, you guys still would have been top of the East.
I mean, James Harden definitely raises their ceiling crazy amount.
Yeah.
Like, yeah.
It's not like when James Harden comes back, he's not going to mess with he's not going to mess up Kyrie's rhythm as a point guard, because Kyrie said it, like, Kyrie plays shooting guard when James Harden is in the game. So, and honestly, Kyrie is just as good playing the 2 when James Harden is playing the 1, and you got KD, playing the 4. It's scary hours.
I gotta say though, I love Kyrie. Kyrie is literally insane.
He is.
Like, he's literally insane. Like, I can't even hate on that guy anymore, because he's just he's really one of the best players in the NBA, and has been. Because think about it, like, Kevin Durant and James Harden have been missing so many games. Like, he's really just been the star of that team he's been there the most, more than the other 2.
Yeah, he has. Not to mention he's playing during Ramadan, where he's can't eat or drink anything.
Fasting, yeah, exactly. Like, he's doing this it's really crazy. Yeah, damn.
He gets too much. He's overhated.
He does get a lot of hate. A little bit too much hate. Because they only want to discuss, his antics, like whenever he says something questionable, but they'll never show. I don't know. They don't talk about his production or the good things that he does. I feel like just the Nets in general get too much hate.
Yeah, but if I wasn't a Nets fan, I would hate on the Nets. Like, I would hate them.
But it's just like, I don't know why we always do that though. With every team that's like a favorite, they're just always the most.
Because people hate greatness.
I don't get it. You should appreciate.
I used to hate that guy. I mean, I used to really hate that guy LeBron when he was on the Heat. Like, because he was the only guy standing in the way of Melo getting to the finals. I hated that guy.
It's just, I mean, so at some point you got to just be like, this is incredible, or we're watching, and we might never see it again.
We will though, because we literally saw the same super team that's happening now in Golden State. Literally had a point guard.
It's like a different
shooting guard, and then had Kevin Durant.
Different iteration though. I feel like I don't know.
It's definitely different. Golden State had more of a defensive presence and a fast break.
Golden State was literally they were always that's what made them so good, is that they were literally like the best defensive team in the league, like almost every year. Not only good offensively. The Nets are just one of the best offense of all time, and with an average defense.
I did forget to mention earlier, Jeff Green. People may say he's getting older, getting past his prime, but he's playing the best basketball he's ever played in his entire career. Like
I don't know about that.
he
When
is.
that guy was on the Celtics way back when. That guy used to literally have a like ESPN top 10 poster dunk every game. Like that guy was getting up and
he's still postering people and like
yeah, but no, like
he's
not
shooting
how
like
he was.
50% from three.
Yeah,
Like-
that's pretty nuts. X factor.
Yeah.
Well,
he could give you like 20, 25 points a game. Not a game, but like on any given night.
in a one given game.
hey, that's important. When you have 3 scorers that can give you 30, it doesn't matter. You don't even need him to do that. So if he
Yeah.
does, it's just a plus. But you mentioned the matchups, potential matchups in the playoffs, the Milwaukee Bucks.
Yes, sir.
That's a team that I really believe could give the Nets some problems. And it's because of this man, Jrue Holiday. Jrue Holiday, man. He's been but I'm gonna let you guys talk it over. So Jrue Holiday, they sent away Eric Bledsoe, George Hill, 3 future first round picks, which one of them became RJ Hampton, and 2 first round pick swaps for Jrue Holiday. So
Way too much.
it might be a little bit too much, but I mean, what have you guys seen from Jrue Holiday and the Milwaukee Bucks kind of as a whole this season?
Well, I got to give it to him. He has helped them out. I think it's too much because, in my opinion, Eric Bledsoe is not that much worse than Jrue Holiday. George Hill and 3 first-round picks. They could have traded just the 3 first-round picks alone and probably gotten him. Because he's getting old. I don't know how old he is. He's probably like 32, probably something like that.
I think
But 17.3 points per game, 4.5 rebounds, 6 assists, 1.7 steals, and a plus minus of 6.3. Shooting 50% from the field, 39 from 3. And he's locked down.
Oh yeah.
But I don't know. I think they would have been doing just as good if they didn't trade for him.
I definitely think he makes the team better. I will say Eric Bledsoe was a great fit with that team, and Eric Bledsoe was also pretty locked down. Jrue Holiday, I think, is just on the next level, and not just defensively, but he could also put up some points too, and facilitate it as well. With that being said, I think I've said this in one of our previous episodes too, but I think it's going to be the same old story for the Bucks.
Yeah.
Obviously,
They
this
just
isn't
beat the
like
Nets yesterday.
Yeah, I saw that, but
Giannis had 49. That game was pretty crazy.
Giannis is
Giannis
gonna
had
get
49 and KD had like 42, I think.
I don't think, and I've said this in previous episodes, I don't think Jrue Holiday is the guy that's going to take him over the edge. I think if they had a second option other than Middleton, then, and you've heard me say this, then I think that that might take him.
You sleep on Middleton.
I don't sleep on Middleton,
You
but
sleep
just
on
like
Middleton.
It's
He's
just no, he's nice, but he doesn't have second option game. You know what I mean? He's not that good of a shot creator.
Nah,
He's
he
not
is.
athletic.
I
He's
feel
just
like if you remove the name,
big old dude.
if you remove the name and you just look at like his production, you would be like, wow, that guy's like one of the best shooting guards in the NBA. And then you slap on Chris Middleton, and then you're like, oh, he sucks because it's Chris.
He is, but I just think on that team, you need somebody who's gonna like. There's not even anybody that I can think of like that can do what I'm trying to say.
There's not that many players that you could realistically put on that team and make them much better.
Yeah, I know, but
that's the thing.
I don't know. His game is too like reliant on his teammates. I feel like if he can't get a catch and shoot shot or post up,
I disagree with that. I think he can create his own shots.
He's like
But-
6'8", dude. Like,
Okay, so
and has is like a pretty tight handle. Like, he definitely is a mismatch offensively, and he's
like-
really good defensively too.
I don't know. I might just have to watch some highlights of this clown because
There's a lot of players I feel like you can plug into his role or plug into the second, person on the Bucks, and I think they would, be in the finals. But Middleton, I don't know. I don't see it happening. I don't see it happening this year.
Well, I'm going to talk about Jrue Holiday a little bit. So when Jrue Holiday is on the floor this season, they have an offensive rating of 119.2, which would be the best in the league. And when Eric Bledsoe was on the floor last season, they had an offensive rating of 114.5, which is still very good. But that just goes to show that Holiday overall makes their offense great, even better.
he is a better facilitator than Bledsoe.
And you look at their individual numbers, I mean, Holiday is just simply better in pretty much every statistic. He's averaging more points, 17.3 points, 4.6 rebounds, 5.8 assists. Like you said, Justin, he's shooting 39% from three, which is a career high. Last year, Bledsoe was averaging 15 points, 4.6 rebounds, and 5.4 assists on 34% from three. And like you said, lockdown defensively. I think he's just more of a versatile and impactful defender than Bledsoe, which is saying a lot because Bledsoe he's not even bad on defense. Like he was a back-to-back all defensive player
Mhm.
in the last 2 years. Like he's not bad defensively, but I think Jrue Holiday is even better, which is crazy. I looked it up in a bunch of big matchups that he's had this season. Trae Young, one of the best scorers in the league, shot 1 for 9 against Jrue Holiday as a primary defender. De'Aaron Fox, who scored 27 points in a game against the Bucks, shot 3 for 9 from the field when he was being defended by Holiday. When they played the Grizzlies, Holiday was defending Ja Morant and Dillon Brooks for the majority of the game, and they shot 4 for 16 when Holiday was defending him. And then when they played the Nets, he was defending James Harden. James Harden had 34 points in this game, but when Holiday was defending him, he scored 3 points and shot 1 for 5 from the field.
Damn.
Like he just completely we always talk about, defense isn't about, especially against superstars. Defense is not about taking away or completely eliminating a player. It's about making it hard for them. Holiday literally takes away an entire option on offense, unlike anyone else in the league, pretty much. And you have Giannis, who is literally the reigning defensive player of the year. Those two on the floor together are
Hey
they are
man,
a
defense wins
glitch
championships.
defense. That's what I mean, dude. That's why I really think the Bucks, everyone says, oh, it's the same old Bucks. It's really not. It's just really not the
is.
same old Bucks.
No, I don't know.
Like it's the same old story. I mean, they've been the best regular season team for the past 2 seasons, and just
Well, they're not even a regular season team this year. You could say that about the Nets. They've been what's the difference about the Nets than the Bucks? This is the first year
because
they're doing great in the regular season.
Because the Nets have been, it's been one of our different stars every single night. And we're still this good. You know what I mean? It's not like all of these stars are playing with each other at the same time. You would think so with what our record is, but that's not been the case. A lot of times it's been just Kyrie or just Kevin Durant.
You don't think that's a problem in and of itself? You guys have a big three have played, I think, 7 games together.
I think
I feel like that's not what you want going into the playoffs.
I don't think it's gonna be a problem chemistry wise, because they're so good they're so good individually that they'll make it work regardless. I think the problem comes with not knowing if these guys are going to get injured during the playoffs or when James Harden is going to come back, because we still don't know, if he's going to come back in the middle of the playoffs or not.
You know what's funny? I was talking about Jrue Holiday's defense and stuff. The one player that really I've seen him give buckets or get buckets on Drew Holiday was very recently Kevin Porter Jr.
Yep. I was just about to say that.
50 points. No, he really I can't even try and defend that. He was really getting cooked by Kevin Porter Jr. all game. But everyone else, he's been locked down.
Yeah.
So I feel like that might say a lot about KPJ.
I think
He might
it
be the
does.
best player in the NBA. No, I'm just kidding.
Nah, he's gonna be disgusting in like a couple years.
Yeah. All right. Last player team, kind of like on the brink of the playoffs right now. They're 31 and 33, eighth seed in the Eastern Conference, the Charlotte Hornets, and they obviously got Gordon Hayward as part of a sign and trade with the Boston Celtics this offseason. He signed a 4-year, $120 million deal with Charlotte this offseason. I mean, I feel like the Hornets, it's always LaMelo and Miles Bridges throwing down like some crazy dunk. But like Gordon Hayward, I feel like has been overall just the best player on their team. And he hasn't really been talked about as much. So, I mean, what have you guys seen from Hayward this season?
Let Toby go because Toby is a big fan of this
So
Charlotte team.
I was a little bit skeptical when they first got him. I'm not even gonna lie. When Jordan gave him the bag, and he was just coming off, a couple seasons in Boston where he may have not as performed as well as people thought he would have. But I think we've seen that Hayward's time in Boston was not hindered, but he sort of had to take a lesser role while Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum are trying to figure out who they're going to be in the league. So yeah, I think Michael Jordan taking a risk on this was something that you have to do as a team. Sometimes you just got to take big risks, and I think yeah, it's paid off well. Hayward was somebody that I thought might have made the All-Star game this year, but obviously he didn't. Yeah, I think it's definitely close. Best player on that team between him and Terry Rozier, but yeah, that was a great move. I'm not even gonna lie.
Yeah, I agree. I agree that for the time being, signing Gordon Hayward was like that was a nice little signing because you got I would say a veteran. I don't know how old he is. He's probably 28, 29, something like that.
I think he's like 31.
Really? Dang.
I mean, that's not very
Yeah,
old.
but it's older than I thought. I don't really.
Yeah.
That guy doesn't feel like he's been around that long.
I think it's because he's been injured.
Yeah, maybe. But yeah. He was the second highest scorer on the team, only behind Terry Rozier and only like half a point behind him. He's got 19.6 points per game, 6 rebounds, 4 assists. He's got great shooting splits. I didn't get his free throw percentage, but he's shooting 47 from the field and 41.5 from 3.
Yeah, he can really shoot the ball.
Yeah. He's only played 44 games though this season. And but yeah, he's a good vet to help this young team, very, very young team develop. He's literally like him and Terry Rozier are the only guys on the team who aren't like 22 years old or younger. Like it's really crazy. But if him and LaMelo didn't get injured, if they stayed healthy the whole season, they wouldn't even be in the play-in. They'd be in the playoffs. They'd be a secured playoff team, I think, in the East.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that.
Yeah, I mean, I think when he first got the contract, I feel like everyone was like clowning the Hornets for giving him this big contract, close to $30 million a year. But at the same time, like it's really not as much as I feel like people think it is. They see like that big number, $30 million a year, and they're like, oh my gosh, Gordon Hayward, what? No, it's not. He's not worth as much. I'm like, you have to think like there's players that are making more than him that are asked to do way less. Like, we were just talking about Chris Middleton. He's like potentially even the third option on the Milwaukee Bucks, and he's making $33 million a year. CJ McCollum is making close to $30 million a year. It's like a second option behind Dame. Andre Drummond, even, he's making like $30 million for the Lakers.
Well, he was.
Yeah. Kemba Walker on the Celtics is making like 34 million. So it's like when you look at it like that, it's like he's really not making as much as people think he is. And plus the Hornets, they just have money to spend. Like all their players are still like on like rookie contracts, basically. You have to think how young that team is.
Yeah.
So it's like, I think it was a good move to bring him in. Plus his contract ends, I think, the same exact year LaMelo's rookie contract ends. So like they're going to be able to grow together. And then by the time LaMelo is like 23 or whatever, when he's up for like an extension, they probably won't even need Hayward anymore. And LaMelo will just be like
the guy.
Literally, like LaMelo will be almost in his prime at that point, or like, reaching his prime. So, but Hayward is averaging 19.6 points per game, which is the most since his lone All-Star season in 2016-17. He's shooting 5.9 rebounds, 4.1 assists, shooting 42% from three on 4.7 attempts per game. He's just been solid, man. And like you said, if he didn't get injured, I think they would have certainly had an even better record than they have right now. But even then, they've surprised a lot of people. I don't think anyone expected the Hornets to be as good as they are this season. So,
yeah. And Hayward, too, just him as an individual. I don't think a lot of people expected him to be putting up the numbers that he is right now. But his time in Utah was like only a few years ago. And I'm pretty sure he was an all-star when he was in Utah. And obviously he had that gruesome injury when like on the first game of his Celtic career. But I think this just goes to show that, he's still that same player. If anything, he's just gotten better at shooting and, he could still make it happen.
I'm looking at this Hornets roster right now.
Mm-hmm.
It's just like they're in one of those situations where like 2 years down the line, they're going to have to figure out which few of these young guys are going to stay around and which ones they're going to have to get rid of. Like, in my opinion, obviously need to keep LaMelo, need to keep Miles Bridges, and you need to keep PJ Washington. Terry Rozier and Gordon Hayward, while they're still around, keep them, don't let them walk or anything, but like once a couple of years they might be getting old, you might have to get rid of them and just let the young guys take over the team.
I think they need
that three of LaMelo, Miles Bridges, and PJ Washington. That's going to be a nice little trio, baby.
I think they need a center more than anything, like an actual center.
I agree because I'm pretty sure Bismack Biyombo was starting like the whole season. I feel sorry, you can go ahead.
Oh, sorry. I mean, if they got Nerlens, I know that would for the Knicks. If they got Nerlens, put Nerlens on this team. That because like literally all he would have to do is catch lobs and play defense, and like that would be perfect on this team with LaMelo.
Yeah, that's true.
Like it would be highlight. It would be Lob City.
What I was gonna say earlier is I definitely feel like they can get a center or a nice piece if they wanted to trade away Devontae Graham and Terry Rozier.
I was thinking
that too.
They should maybe trade up in this draft.
For what?
I feel like there aren't that many like good centers.
A little Evan Mobley action.
They would have to give up way too much. I think you would have to give up pretty much.
You could literally give up here.
He's going to go top 3. He's going to go top 3, I think.
Give you a trade package right now for him. You throw in Vernon Carey. You throw in Devontae Graham.
I don't think
you throw in Malik Monk. A couple picks and you're good to go.
Nah, I don't know. I don't know about that.
I would rather just have a veteran center too. I think I would rather just have a more established center. Anyway.
Yeah, maybe.
Get one in free agency. and not give up, half your team.
Why? Those guys that I mentioned, Devontae Graham doesn't even play anymore.
No, he plays.
What do they got? A 3-point guard rotation going on over there?
Yeah, pretty much. I'm pretty sure.
You have to remember LaMelo was like 6'8". Like you can play him at small forward and have him be like your point guard, like de facto point guard.
Pretty sure Melo and Rozier play or like start together. So they just got that guy Graham coming off the bench.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So that's gonna do it for us. This is I thought it was a really good discussion overall.
Let me throw one last guy in there real quick. Just real super quick. I know he's been on the team for, I think this is his second season, second season, but Jordan Clarkson, love him on Utah. Just like what D Wade said earlier this year. If I could be anybody, I'd be Jordan Clarkson. Best team in the league. All I got to do is come off the bench and put up buckets. I don't even got to share the ball. Just come in, put up my points, sit back down, I'm good.
Yep. He's been very good for them. Got to give it to him.
He's the second highest scorer on the team, where that guy Bojan Bogdanovic averages 16 and Conley averages 16. And he's coming off the bench.
Yeah, and we're definitely we'll certainly talk about the Jazz some more next week. And
next week is going to be a great episode.
Because by then, yeah, it'll literally be like 4 games left for teams, and we'll have a good, accurate look at who we think is going to be where in the standings, things like that. Yeah.
I can't believe we've been doing this for almost a whole season already.
I know. We're coming in on the playoffs. We're closing in on the playoffs, man. We're almost there. Oh, yeah. Also, even though it was 2 days ago, Justin's birthday. Happy birthday.
Yes, sir.
21 years old.
Notice anything different?
Yeah, he had the shade, man. All right. This is good. Until next week, 20 episodes. That's a wrap. From myself, Jorie Mickens, and my 2 co-hosts, Justin Sadovi and Chris Tobias, thank you so much for listening to that episode of the Fullcourt Report NBA show. Be sure to follow us on Twitter at FullCReport, on Instagram at the.fullcourt.report. Like and comment on this video and subscribe so you never miss a minute of action.